Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Zaria. If you don't know, I make financial freedom, spirituality, and vegan lifestyle content. So if those are things that interest you, stay tuned, see if you like me, and hit the subscribe button, right? Okay. So today's video, we're actually here to talk about how to heal trauma on a spiritual level, part 3. We're going to be talking about, now that we know all the information from part 1 and part 2, what do we do? Once we talk the talk, it's time to walk the walk, right? Okay, so if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, be sure to do that. They're down below in the description. Part 1 was about discovering trauma and its effects on you. And then part 2 was about bringing spirituality into healing. So yeah, be sure to check those out. Then there's also one more video that you guys can check out that sort of like relates to this and kind of is a precursor that would like give you a little bit more information on it. That video is doing shadow work to enhance inner peace. So be sure to check it out. But yeah, let's get right into it. Don't want to hold you guys up. Be sure to hit that thumbs button. It really helps me out a lot. Be sure to hit it. Thanks. Okay, so I would say this is sort of like a step-by-step process, and once you like get to the end, you kind of just like recycle and start repeating, basically. So the first thing is when it comes to healing on a spiritual level and actually putting action to the knowledge and the thoughts and understandings that you have about yourself, I learned that I had to practice being present and cognizant in all moments, all areas of life, in every moment of life, in order to not only like soak up the experience and enjoy it for what it truly is and really like be there and really feel it to its full potential. Not only that, but to understand things from the past. Once that day has passed where you were being present, you're still gonna remember it because you were present. You're still gonna know what was going on, and you're still gonna remember your feelings and what was happening that day and what was going on. You're still gonna remember later. You're still gonna remember. And one way to know if you are living in the present or not is, I'm gonna give you guys a scenario. Have you ever been like driving home and you get in the car you're like leaving work or something. You get in the car, turn the car on, you start driving, and all of a sudden you're home. Has that ever happened? All of a sudden you're at home. You don't remember the drive. You don't remember getting there. You don't even remember if you stopped at all the red lights. You're just home. Like, how did that happen? That, it means you kind of weren't present during the moment. It could be a lot of different things. I know for me, when I'm driving, I do dissociate sometimes, simply because I do have some trauma with cars. So dissociating, things like when you're in your head or you have all these thoughts going on and they're just racing. A lot of these things and not being present can relate to other mental illnesses, and I'm not a healthcare professional, I am not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, anything like that by all means, but I have noticed from my experience and from experiencing others and people who do have anxiety or depression or PTSD, they often do have a hard time being present in the moment because of that. Those the symptoms from those mental illnesses do cause like things that keep you from being present. The dissociating I was talking about, those racing thoughts and anxiety, like things like that. So if you do like struggle with certain things and you're like, I'm trying really hard to be present, but I really still can't, be sure to call your healthcare provider, get an appointment with your healthcare provider and talk to your healthcare provider about that. But moving on. So once you have learned what helps you become more present, and honestly, it's, for me, becoming more present really had to do with the fact of recognizing and understanding when I'm not. So that's really the main component of that part. Recognizing and understanding when you're not present will help you become present in the moment, because once you know you're not, you become present. You're present. You're cognizant. That's it. Like, so yeah, just things like when if you're like you're waiting for your food in line somewhere and you didn't even genuinely make the conscious choice or decision. You just like kind of instinctively, you pull out your phone and you start scrolling. That's one thing that I have noticed a lot of people do in general, and it does keep them dissociated from reality, because it's genuinely about the fact that the cognition and the presence isn't there when you're doing what you're doing. If the cognizance and the presence is there when you're like, okay, let me pull out my phone, I can scroll a little bit while I'm waiting for my food, then okay. But if you genuinely were like, you were just standing here and you're waiting for your food, and then all of a sudden you're looking at your phone, that's not being present. You weren't present making that choice. It just happened because it's habit, because it's instinctual, and because your brain is sort of attached to it. So like things like that. Once you have started putting into practice becoming more present, becoming more cognizant in the things in your life and what's actually happening, it's now time to buckle down and identify some moments where you've tried to implement some sort of new or healthier coping mechanism in different aspects of life when you're triggered by something. So this could be like small triggers, big triggers, any sort of trigger. So let's say you struggle with having other people affirm you and basically say, yeah, you know what, I am proud of you. You are, like, you did do a great job. Let's say you never really heard that when you were growing up, and now it's really, it's really hard for you to take compliments. B, you really don't think you're ever good enough. And C, you try, like really hard. You are always trying, really trying hard, going in hard. So those are like 3 things about you that kind of like came from that trauma, and how to find those things, or like find that relationship between the trauma and the effect. Go watch those other 2 videos, y'all. Part 1 and part 2, go watch them. But let's say that those are things that that left you, those are the effects that were left with you by that trauma of no one ever really telling you that they were proud of you, and no one ever really affirming you as a child, right? So a healthy coping mechanism could be maybe every single morning you try to look in the mirror and you affirm yourself with an affirmation, and you say, you know what, like I am worthy. I am worth it. I am worth it all, and I deserve success. I deserve happiness. Let's say that's your affirmation for that. And you're trying it. This is the moment where you're identifying a time where you tried it. You tried it last week and you're like, okay, When I did it last week, I kind of like, I wouldn't look myself in the eyes when I was saying it in the mirror because it was really uncomfortable. And it honestly kind of made me cry because I didn't believe it. And I was like, wow, no one's really said that to me before. So you're identifying that moment and you're like, okay, moment identified. Now what? Next step. Review and analyze your new implementation. So how did it work? You just said like you were uncomfortable, and it kind of felt like it was a lie. So you're reviewing and analyzing your new implementation, right? And then next you're going to think of the best way to adapt any parts of that didn't work so well. So like we said, you looked in the mirror, you couldn't really look yourself in the eyes, and you didn't think it was true. You were like, you're lying to me. I don't believe that. So a way to go from there, you would sort of analyze it and be like, okay, well, I felt like you said it. I felt like it was a lie, and I felt really uncomfortable. So that's what you felt. And after, of course, saying it one time, this gonna be like, you gotta kind of like try it again. You gotta do it for at least a week, baby girl. So let's say you finished doing it for a week. You were like, okay, I'm gonna try it for a week in a row, every single day. I'm gonna try this. And you found that you don't really cry as much anymore. Maybe there's like one tear, and you don't not believe it, but you don't do believe it. Does that make sense? You're like, it sounds like a very neutral statement. You're like, okay, whatever. I don't know. You're still kind of uncomfortable with the compliment and the affirmation. And you still can't, you can kind of like every other word, like look at yourself in the eyes. Like, I am worthy. I deserve happiness. And I am beautiful inside and out. That's how you do it, right? So let's say that's how it happens. From there, you would kind of be like, okay, what's gonna help me make more eye contact with myself and make me feel comfortable with eye contact with myself in the mirror? Because it's myself. I should be able to look at myself in the eye. Ask yourself, can you look at anyone else in the eyes? Do you look your mom in the eyes? Do you look your brother in the eyes? Do you look your friend in the eyes? Can you make eye contact? Prolonged eye contact. Is that something you can do? Is that something you do? Is it? And honestly, if it isn't, it sounds like the eye contact portion of you trying to be more affirming of yourself is a little too vulnerable for you to try and implement at the same time as implementing something else that's super vulnerable for you. You might have to separate them and try to implement them at different times. You might have to be like, okay, I'm gonna work on my eye contact this week. And while I work on my eye contact, instead of saying my affirmations in the mirror, I'm just gonna say them out loud to myself 3 times a day, wherever I'm sitting, and just close my eyes and really like breathe and meditate and believe it. That's what I'm gonna try to do instead. So that I can focus on believing the affirmation instead of trying to focus on believing the affirmation and being intimate and familiar with myself. Like, those are two different things to be trying to work on with one exercise. And if it's something you can do, if you can work on multiple things at one time, go ahead, do it. But if it's something like you need to separate, you need to take a step back. You need to be like, okay, I need to only work on like no more than one thing at a time. I can't juggle all that. That's a little too much for me. I'm gonna drop it because it's too uncomfortable. Uncomfortability, of course, pushes growth, but too much uncomfortability pushes you back in a box. It makes you shrink. It makes you withdraw, right? Sometimes it makes people defensive, makes them attack, right? So just kind of understanding and knowing yourself and knowing how much change at once you can really truly handle and successfully implement long term, just knowing those things about yourself is also important. So that goes into think of the best ways to adapt to any parts of that didn't work. That goes into that. It's just like the best way for you isn't focusing on multiple different things. The best way for you is to specifically focus on one aspect at a time with each exercise that you do, or whatever it may be for yourself. If you can't figure out what like adaptations to make to your sort of like your habit adaptation, I guess that's what I'll call it, habit adaptations, because it's really what it is. It's just changing the habits and the subconscious rewiring of your brain. That's really it's really all like trauma healing is, to rewire your subconscious and adapt your coping mechanisms and the way you react. Yeah. And then, like I said, this is gonna be a rinse and repeat cycle. Once you do that, try it again. Just keep going, try it again. And don't get discouraged. Don't be like, I feel like I'm only moving like an inch. The thing is, you're moving forward. You say only, but it's still moving forward. It really is. And just remind yourself and be kind to yourself and give yourself grace and let yourself know that it took years for you to get to this point where you're triggered by certain things or you react a certain way that maybe isn't the best way that you want to be reacting. It took years to get to that point. So, of course, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some focus and some attention to change and adapt to something else. And with that adaptation, it's not always going to be linear. And just because you relapse or you have like a moment where you react maybe the same as you would have in the past, it doesn't mean you regressed on all your progress. It just means that growth is not linear. It's not one straight uphill battle. It is an uphill, like it dips, it curves, it has indentations. Like, it's not all gonna be, every day is not gonna be blissfully, happily more amazing than the next. But you can be blissfully, happily more amazing than the next. Does that make sense? Like, it's a lot of knowing yourself and understanding your boundaries and understanding how you react to adaptation and how adaptation works with you. Yeah. Hey y'all, so I know like this is random, right in the middle of the video. I know it's good content, I know. But I do have an announcement. I will be holding my first live Q&A once I hit 100 subscribers. So definitely hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Instagram and YouTube so you can get on that live, ask some questions, and know some answers, okay? All right. So one way that I've actually used this whole process myself, because I do want to give you guys like an example that actually like is a real world example and makes sense. It did happen rather than just hypotheticals. Like, I want you to know that this thing, like, it works. Like, this process works. So with me, I especially if you guys know anything about seasonal depression, that fall and winter, it really hits hard, right? It hits hard. So back last fall and winter, actually, fall and winter of 2021, I was like really in this bad like depression funk, and I still hadn't figured out how to keep my ADHD from like wreaking havoc on my life. I wanted it to enhance my life, not wreak havoc, because I've always I've seen a lot of like posts and whatnot. I had seen a lot of posts and whatnot about people who were like, okay, once you stop viewing ADHD as a weakness and start viewing it as a strength, everything changes. And they're really right. They're genuinely like, they're right. But I was like, okay, well, how do I do that? Because every time I look, it's just making my life more difficult. Every time I look. And I had to literally reframe and rewire my subconscious about the way I think about my ADHD, the way I think about myself, and the way I see success. So I still kind of struggle with it on and off, but I used to really have a really hard time with feeling like I could be successful in this life, in this universe, in this world, in this country. Like, I was like, the way it's set up, like, they just want me to fail and I'm gonna fail. Like, I can't function in this. Like, this isn't work. Like, I'm a failure. I can't succeed at anything. Like, I can't wash the dishes. I can't clean up after myself. I can't get up to take a shower. I can't eat. Like, I can't function. So I was like, okay, maybe let's think about it in a different way. Instead of saying I can't function, let's start saying that doesn't work for me. So I started doing that. I was like, okay, instead of saying I can't function, I'm bad at that, I say that doesn't work for me. That's not for me. That doesn't work for me. That's not for me. That's for somebody else. And I started saying that, and I started living by it, and I was like, okay, the review and analysis of the new implementation, which was saying that doesn't work for me. When I reviewed it and analyzed it, I was like, okay, then what does? You have to tell yourself what does work for you if you're going to say something doesn't work for you, because then all your mind thinks about is the things that don't work for you. So I was like, okay, what does work for me then? And I started coming up with systems and things and different like habits that I could do that worked for me to be able to have a successful life. And then I also had to redefine the word successful for me, because I was like, what is successful? Everyone is like, success is like when you can travel, and you have money, and you can turn the lights on all day if you want to, but you don't. But you can if you want to. But the thing is, success is defined differently by everyone. It's not one specific definition. And to me, success has nothing to do with money. To me, money specifically, like I said in my in a recent video, my how to budgeting 101 video and understanding something like that. I'll put it in the link in the description down below. But in that video, I was like, money is a resource. Money is a tool, and it helps you get things in life. That's what it is. And my morals and my thought process, like my genuine morals and character, and the things that are rooted in me that I those aren't gonna change. I genuinely believe that we shouldn't have to fight and fend for ourselves with our basic needs if we have community. If we're society and a civilization and we're supposed to be a community, there is no reason that anyone in the world should be without their basic needs. No reason at all. Because we're supposed to be a society, a community, right? The point is, today society requires money from everyone to be able to do anything. And that is why money is also a part of a lot of anyone and everyone's definition of success, but it is not a part of mine. So yeah, I had to redefine what success was for me, because money being inside of my definition of success is genuinely what was tearing me down and limiting me and making me feel like the world was gonna make me fail. It was going to make me fail. So I had to realize that I have some limiting beliefs surrounding money. I have a lot of limiting beliefs surrounding money. So I had to start addressing those. And then I was like, okay, well, then what is success to me? And I was like, okay, success to me is living in and through your passion. Okay. Success to me is living in and through your passion. That's what success is for me. Living in and through your passion. I am successful. That's it. I'm already successful because I'm living in and through my passion. And being able to use this process to get to that point and not have these limiting beliefs and overwhelming intrusive thoughts about myself and my ADHD and failing, it really changed a lot for me. It changed genuinely very, very, like, it changed a lot. I'm on a healing journey. So yeah, that's how I used this process to sort of get out of the mindset of thinking that I am a failure and I am going to fail. Yeah. And I think I encompassed a lot today. So I hope you learned something. I know I did. And with that, make sure you like this video if you really did. Like, if you learned something, gained some knowledge, like the video. If you have any questions, any comments you want to add to the conversation, get down in the comments and just let me know. Also, if you have no idea what you can comment, I have down in the description some ideas for you to, you can I have little like discussion prompts basically. Go down there and see if you want to answer one. But that is all for today. Thank you all for watching. I do have an announcement today. So if you guys weren't aware, I do have an Instagram that you guys can follow, and I share exclusive content there where I let you guys know what's going on before I put it on YouTube. I let you guys know what's going on in my life and all my businesses, everything like that. And I have been, for the past week, I have been going live. I don't know what schedule I was gonna do. For the past week, I have been going live with meditations and just some like productivity, let's work togethers, like very, very frequently. So be sure to follow me on Instagram and hit the bell notification, and you'll know every single time I go live there. I'll also be going live on YouTube for this week as well. So stay tuned, and yeah. I hope you guys really enjoy. I hope you learned something. Yeah, thank you.